So welcome everybody to another talk. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. Today, we're gonna be speaking a little bit about tips for effective communication in tech roles. And for that, we're gonna have Daniel Barrera and Alan Valdenebro, which are really good. And we're gonna give them a couple minutes to present themselves in a minute. But before that, let's speak a little bit about some good guidelines. Please use your full name or at least one of your names to know who's speaking so we can if you have some questions or anything can address to you by your name. Feel free to interact. This is an open session. You can write anything in the chat. If you have a question or comment, anything, raise your hand. We'll be trying to address those. And try to at the close to the end of the session, we're gonna send us a small survey, and this is basically just so we can maintain and always hear any comments, any feedback you guys have for us. And as I mentioned a little bit before, well, we're a platform, and we have somebody here who is an expert on this platform, which is Gabriel. Would you like to talk a little bit about Me Coach the platform?
Great. Thank you, Rafa. Yes, the content that we are going to see today from our speakers will be available through Me Coach. And some other previous events, bootcamp, tech talks, all the recordings and the assets are already available through Me Coach. So you are welcome to reach out, to check our content and look if something adds value to you. So welcome to consume our content and future events. We try to keep the topics for the future very healthy. So feel free to join us and to follow us. So, and some other features are available through Me Coach. So you're free to explore and to surf into the platform. I will send the link through this chat and well, enjoy this session.
There you go, guys. Well, Daniel, Alan, all yours.
Sure, let me start sharing my screen. One second. There you go. You can see my screen now, right, guys?
Yeah, we can.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. So, Danny, do you want to start introducing yourself?
Sure. So, well, everyone by now should know that you are in the tips for effective communication in tech roles. And why did you join this session? And it is most probably it's because as I and Alan have experienced in the past, communicating is difficult, especially for people that are engineers, which normally focus on the detail. Sometimes we have difficulty kind of engaging with this kind of plethora of different roles. I know, and even there are all types, introverts, extroverts. Extroverts have their own share of complications as well as introverts. So the idea is for me and Alan to share what has worked for us, especially. We base most of the content on thinking of our past experiences, but also matching it with official content that backs up kind of that our experience makes sense. So yeah, that's practically it. Alan, you want to add something?
Not really. So this, first of all, I'm excited to be here with you guys today talking about this because this is one of the first tech talks we have that focus on the soft skill side of our roles, right, in engineering. So this is having good communication is super important, right? Even though we are a good programmers, good product owners, good scrum masters, etc., communicating with our peers, it's key for our roles, right? So I'm excited to be here. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tech talk. We're going to touch a lot of topics during this session. And if you have questions, if you want to share something during our presentation, please feel free to raise your hand or add a comment in the comment section so we can talk about it, right? We want this to be a super collaborative session where everyone, if you want to share some experience, also if you have additional tips, that works for us as well, right? Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I also hope you can use these tips to improve your communication skills with in your daily basis. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. First of all, I remember I read from a book, and this is also important, is it's not the same communicating as talking a lot. That's something I really liked about that in a book. Some people think that communicating is just talking and talking and talking. It's actually not. It's finding the best way for you to express your idea and someone else identifying or clearly understanding your point of view. And also, it's like it's not worth kind of communicating to everyone. That's also a good point. And I'm actually starting with that, which is understanding what's a stakeholder and who's a collaborator. So there's a big difference between stakeholders, collaborators, influencers, and someone with an opinion. So this is something I think I learned through the past, and I was not sure, like, oh, this director, is he going to make my life easier or harder, or it happened, like someone changed their mind and suddenly they're not with you. So you need, if you have this kind of pre-map of what's a stakeholder and a collaborator, it's super easy to engage with people and know what type of communication to have with them. So practically, well, and I also hate that the stakeholder words. I've always hated it's like, what is a stakeholder? What do they mean with stakeholder? So practically, stake comes from the poker games. So whenever you have stake or chips, it means that you will be affected by the outcome of the game. So practically, that's a stakeholder. So stakeholders are affected by what's happening, and that makes it easier. It's like, oh, okay, then if someone is collaborating with you, but the end result doesn't affect them in any way, he's not a stakeholder, he's a collaborator. But for example, if someone is paying for, I don't know, the work we're doing, he's a stakeholder because he will be like, he will get or lose from the activities that you are responsible of. So that's super cool because that explanation for me helped me in the past, saying, okay, he's a stakeholder, he's not a stakeholder. He's someone who can influence, and this is different, right? Between stakeholder and influencers. For example, in our product, users normally are stakeholders. If you change or remove a product, people are affected, but they can't influence. So those two characteristics are super important to keep in mind. It's like, hey, how can this person influence in my conversation or with my work? And if it's a stakeholder, so whatever I'm deciding will affect the outcome for him. And there's this very easy chart you can draw. Again, level of influence versus level of impact. We can call it. It's stakeholder is impact at the end, and then you have those high impact, high interest. Those are the people who you wanna communicate constantly, have good communications, understand yourself well. We'll give you more tips about this later on the talk. Then you have those that are high influence but low impact. Make sure you get them involved. You talk to them, communicate often because they can change the course because they have high influence. And then there's this high stake or high impact but low influence. Like for example, a colleague or someone from another division. And finally, low impact, low stake, or low influence, which are you can just maybe keep it communicated, but you don't need to have this kind of involvement, ask them questions, and get along that much. And mapping them, and this is a trick, is it will help you understand where you should talk more and talk less, because high impact, high stakeholders, those are the ones with high influence. Those are the ones you want to make sure you have a good channel of communication and understanding. Versus others, you can reduce it. You could be more concise and just inform them of what's happening. Right. So everyone understood that pretty clearly. No questions? All good. Right. I want you guys to be influencers in this call. I don't want you guys to be just stakeholders. So, all right, let's continue. So yeah, when you're working, try to identify like developers, testers, scrum masters, the director, your manager. Where do they land? How often should you be talking? And this simple map will help you out. You need to recognize the unique needs and expectations from the group, and well, try to empathize. That normally helps a lot, to try to figure out where they should be landing, right? Because then if you don't understand how they can influence your work, it's hard to know where they're landing. Yeah, that's all on this first topic, which is understanding stakeholders and collaborators. Alan, I think you're next. But yeah, before continuing, questions, maybe someone wants to share something.
Okay, looks like everyone is still shy on this call. That's fine. Let's keep it going. Yeah, thank you. So let's keep going. If someone has another question or a question of the topic we already reviewed, feel free to do it. Okay, that's fine. So now let's talk about some strategies for effective engagement, right? So, and one of the things that I like the most is to have active listening, right? And this means just to be, and this can be applied in meetings with a lot of people and on one-on-one meetings, right? This applies for all kind of meetings. But let's say you are on a one-on-one meeting with your manager or with a peer, right? And I have some tips to improve active listening. And the first thing is even though we usually work remotely, right? Um, we always try to have our cameras on, right? Even though it may feel like it's not the same interaction between, behind the computer, but having or maintaining eye contact is super important, right? Even though if it's a video call, okay? Because this will show engagement. This will show that you are listening, right, to the people who's speaking, right? This will help you to build trust and rapport between each other, and there's gonna feel there's mutual understanding between the two of you or the whole group. Okay, it's not the same when you're talking to someone in person and you are looking. We all had this feeling, right? When you're talking to someone and he's looking into his cell phone, it feels weird, right? You feel that like they're not paying attention, or maybe you are not so important, right? So having eye contact, or at least, trying to pay attention on what someone is trying to say to you, that builds trust, and you make feel comfortable the other person. Okay. Another tip is to nod your head or use affirmative gestures, right? Even though you are muted, you can just nod your head saying yes, maybe, giving a smile or something, that because this helps the person that is talking to you, that he's following the conversation, right? And this encourages the speaker to continue, and this encourages to keep the conversation going on. And it helps to understand between lines that everything it's good, everything is being understood, and you can continue on the next topic or continue the conversation, right? Something that helps a lot as well is to ask open-ended questions, right? So when you're having a conversation, just listening and listening and listening, and maybe just nodding your head, it may become so kind of boring. So maybe asking questions, open-ended questions, to improve the conversation, and this will help the both people or the group of people having a conversation. This will help to have a deeper conversation, right? To go into details, and also this show interest. Okay, so this is important, right? Just to keep asking, and improving the conversation. Something super important as well is to avoid interrupting, right? It feels super, super weird when you're talking and someone interrupts you. And if it happens 2 or 3 times, it feels super, super weird, right? And you may feel like what you're trying to say or what you're trying to communicate is not important, right? So let's avoid interrupting, uh, and this applies uh, for also for remote working, right? Having our microphones uh, turn it off while someone is speaking. The nice example, a good example on how to do it right in remote work, but also it applies in person, right? Let's wait when someone finishes a phrase or finishes the sentence that the person is communicating, and then we ask, or then we compliment with a comment, etc., right? Let's try avoid interrupting. Another good practice is to provide feedback. Okay, so giving feedback offers constructive responses, right? And this feedback also improves communication. If someone has given a good speech or a good topic, giving feedback encourages to the speaker to improve his way of speaking as well. And also, he will use this in his next speech or in his next meeting, right? So giving a constructive feedback always helps as well. And also, let's be mindful of nonverbal um, cues, right? For example, if someone is, uh, had a bad night and is falling asleep during a conversation, that's a bad sign, right? Let's try to show interest. Let's try, paying attention, keeping eye contact. Also, if you want to repeat what someone just said, uh, that's also a good sign, right? That you're listening, that when you repeat it, you hear it back, and it reinforces the knowledge as well of what has been said, right? And the most important of all, stay present, right? Don't just be there appearing that you're listening. Let's active listen. Let's be present. Let's ask questions and let's provide feedback. Okay. So far, is there any comment? I see a lot of comments on the chat, but I'm not aware if that's related to what I have just said. But does someone wants to
Yeah,
compliment? Yeah.
Ivan is asking, I have not heard the term communication anti-patterns. What are those?
Okay, yes, I'm gonna touch that topic just in a minute, but yes, I'll keep it for once I get there. Yeah. Okay, let's go with the second um topic here is clear communication, right? So I have a sort of a list of best practices to have clear communication. And the first one is know your audience. And we all have heard about this, right? Let's adapt our message uh, for the type of audience we're having, right? And this is to make sure the message is clear and understandable, right? Also, let's be clear and direct. Let's use simple language and avoid specialized language, right? You know, in this, I know Tech Talks in ITJ is focused on engineers, but also we may have people that is not an engineer, right? So let's talk about like super clear, not specialized, etc., right? Something giving a message that everyone can understand. Um, let's use visual aids as well. This helps a lot, having charts, graphs, diagrams. Uh, even though if you want to use Excel tables or a Lucid Spark to start drawing stuff, that helps a lot as well while trying to communicate something. Let's keep active listening, ask for feedback, and follow up if there's action items by the end of the meeting or by the end of the conversation. Let's follow up on those. Okay. So let's go with the communication anti-patterns, right? Because this is a nice topic. So what are these? These are stuff like gossip, rumors, guesses, jealousy, lies, etc., right? And these anti-patterns usually happen a lot of in during work, right? Even though it happens also in remote work as well. So let's try to avoid that. These patterns are triggered from our personal, social habits, but let's not bring that into our work, right? Um, because you know, and this may end up hurting someone feelings, and yeah, it generates a toxic environment, and you know, this usually this kind of practices for it, right? Let's try to have self-control, take a deep breath, and contain your impulses, right? If during a conversation that you know may escalate the level of the conversation and become a hot topic, let's just breathe, let's control ourselves, and try to avoid you know overreacting, right? I don't know if Danny, do you want to
Yeah.
comment on this?
Yeah, I want to add, and I've seen this in the past a lot. Like someone is going like, "Hey, did you hear they fired 3 guys from I don't know what? Yeah, they're going to fire half of the company," and this starts to kind of boil into more gossip and more gossip. And literally, this like my point of view is this is an anti-pattern because at the end, it's destructing all that we're trying to teach you guys. It's like, no, you like, where is this coming from? Who's the stakeholder? Who am? And then eventually, someone needs to come up front and communicate accordingly what's happening for everyone. So it's noise and it's kind of disturbing our communication channels. So my learning is just stop it. If people are trying to pass on a gossip, you can go like, I don't know. Why don't we go and ask? Let's stop the gossip and confirm it. And this is fighting this anti-pattern, for example.
There's a question here, Danny. Um, it says, what if the leader manager is the one creating the anti-pattern toxic environment?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Again, you can start with, okay, how much is this person influenced, or what's his level of influence, and if he's also a stakeholder. But one of the patterns I found is, hey, can you show me facts? Just asking that, hey, do you have facts that you can show us? That brings the gossip down very fast. And it doesn't matter who the leader is, because you put him in a bit on the spot. But again, if he's a big influencer, you need to be careful. So it is better to engage slowly but surely, and say like, hey, I feel confused. Can you help me understand what information you're trying to convey? Just saying you're confused is valid. And also super easy is, you can base yourself on emotions. That's also super helpful. That tones down a bit sometimes the wrong communication, or when someone is strong, it's like just saying, hey, I'm feeling confused. I don't understand. that puts a very different conversation up front, because you're pushing through trust. And I'll go into alignment, which is another part of our talk that also is super helpful to avoid this type of conflicts that are happening. We actually have a special section about conflict.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. Yes, and you can always interrupt these patterns, right? And as Daniel said, you just need to be super careful on how you do it. But yeah, there's always a way, right? Okay, so let's keep it going, guys. Um, and let's talk about setting expectations, right? And this particular topic is super yes useful, right? Because all of us, we are in meetings, right? We have a lot of meetings, and sometimes we have more meetings than the ones that we should, or more than we want to be having every day, right? But and it's super important um, to make the best of those meetings. And my advice here is to set expectations, right? Uh, we need to be super specific on what's the meeting purpose and what to expect in terms of tasks, deadlines, outcomes, etc. Right? We need to be super specific. Also, um, when we're having a meeting or a conversation or a tech talk, or we are providing a topic, we're giving a topic to an audience, providing examples, real life examples also helps a lot. Because sometimes we talk about by the book, right? But giving real life examples, this helps a lot to understand and illustrate what the point where we're trying to give. We also need to clarify the roles and responsibilities for those in those meetings, right? To be clear, who is responsible for which tasks and who's responsible for decision making, right? This will improve a lot of meetings, a lot of our work, and our daily activities. Okay. Let's encourage for questions as well. Let's create an open environment where everyone can ask and everyone feels comfortable about asking stuff during meetings or during calls, right? Um, let's use multiple channels for communication. And we know the channels, right? We have emails, we have uh, meetings, we have Slack, we have Trello, we have, there's a lot of channels we can use for communication. I see a hand.
Yes, somebody asked on the chat, Manuel Ramirez, how much impact does culture, opinions, mood, or education have in communication, especially being the recipient rather than the sender or meaning?
This is a good question, and I can kind of answer. Yes, culture, the level of language that everyone has, the mood, the education, that all affects. And I love there's a very good tech talk about language, especially like proficiency, and it says sometimes keeping it simpler is easier. And they give an example of trying to be a salesperson, and they say like if in business people that try to be like especially learning English or for being foreign to a language, you try to or be proficient and use a high education level. But in that case, they say, no, actually, to be a very good salesperson, you don't actually need to learn. And they say, see all the kind of the street smart people. Then they use very basic English, like, hey, you want buy two, I give you 3, 4, 5, right? With very few words, they're actually trying to sell you, and they successfully do. It's like, no, don't, no, you try one free, I give second half price. So yes, these are called language barriers. So also cultural differences. Some words means different things. So there are barriers, and sadly, there's no like I haven't found a trick to overcome these issues. The best way is engage more, and as Alan was saying, is you need to put a bit work before, or if you start to notice barriers, try to work around it. For example, I tell my people, if you're not feeling comfortable talking in sessions, use Slack, write through the chat like you're doing, right? Send an email, or don't talk, and at the end, everyone's perspectives, send the meeting notes and add your part, and that's how you contribute. And yeah, if emotions also is something you have trouble with, this is a very good of bypassing. Your communication is like 3 times more effective when you reserve, when you're calm, and you can constructively write down, because your thinking process is more concise rather than trying to come up with words. Like, not everyone has. Oh, sorry, I think someone's.
O sea, el color
unmuted.
estaba bien,
Great, but
como
yeah.
si fueran croquetas,
Oh,
Done.
there you go. Okay, so practically that's it. It's trying to and highlighting the different type of channels and which one you find the one you feel more comfortable with, and normally that avoids all of these kind of communication blockers.
Yes, exactly, right. And something like let's talk about real life examples, right? And something that I like to do when I feel there's a language barrier between me and one of my stakeholders, I always try to open somewhere or a tool that helps me to draw something like Miro or like Lucid Spark or something, and just put all the ideas there while I'm talking, right? Because this helps everyone understands with visual help what's going on and what we are trying to achieve, right? Let's try to remove this language barrier by giving visual aids as well, right? Okay. Nice. So I was talking about setting expectations, right? And when before every meeting finishes, let's try to seek for agreement, right? Ensure that everyone agrees and understand what's expected from them, and if all the action items that were assigned during the meeting, we have a deadline, we have an assignee, and we have and everyone agrees on that, right? And obviously, let's keep on the loop those action items and regularly revisit them and review them and check for status about that, right? If you need to make some adjustments on how periodically you need to be reviewing those, let's do it. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about feedback mechanisms. Okay. About feedback, right? I've talked about this earlier during the presentation. Giving feedback is super important, right? And let's create effective feedback loops, right? And let's encourage our peers and our stakeholders to use these constructive feedback loops, right? If we want to set up this in a daily basis or a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis, that helps, right? Let's keep giving feedback between each other so we can all improve. Okay. All right. Let's go with some tools and techniques. Okay, so let's talk about collaboration tools. And I would like to ask here in the audience, in your jobs, right, on your daily basis, what do you use for collaborate, right? For example, let's talk about Slack, and we already talked about Slack, Trello, Miro, but do you guys have something else that you use for to collaborate within your teams? Let's put it on the chat and let's talk about it. Okay. Notion. Okay. Teams. Yeah. We have divided opinion about teams, right? Some people love it, some people simply don't. Lucid, email, Rike. Yeah, it's been a while since I used Rike. Confluence, Lucid charts. Yes. So there's Stack Overflow as well, obviously. So there's a bunch of tools we can use for collaborate, right? Let's get the most of each tool. Let's use them to share knowledge. If we need to assign a task, let's do it that way. And most important, and the tip here for these collaboration tools is to be consistent on the use of these tools, right? Because it's not fair you start using email for communicating something, and then you decide by yourself that you're going to start using Trello to assign tasks, right? Without letting no one know about that decision, right? So let's be consistent. And if we decide to use a tool, let's keep using that tool, right? If we're going to change the tool we're using for collaboration, let's agree within all the group and all the stakeholders and all the people involved in our projects or our jobs that we are changing the tool. Okay, this is super important, right? Discord, yes. Zendesk, okay, nice. Okay, so let's talk about agile practices, because agile practices have a lot of benefits, and sometimes people don't like all the I've heard people saying, oh yeah, agile has a lot of meanings, right? And maybe yes, but maybe we are not using them properly, right? Because every meeting or every agile practice that we implement in our jobs have its purpose, and there's a why, right? For example, let's talk about stand-ups, right? I'm pretty sure everyone here has been in a stand-up meeting, right? Let's raise our hands if you've been in a stand-up meeting. Yeah, a lot, yeah, sure. So yeah, let's remember what's a stand-up, right? This is a meeting that happens every day, right? Usually at the same time every day, every work day. It's a 10-15 minute meeting where everyone provides status, and everyone is like trying to hear what someone else trying to say about what they did yesterday and what they are trying to do today. But actually, a stand-up meeting is more than that, right? Because this meeting is super, super important. And from a point of view, is the more important meeting of the day. Okay. So this meeting helps the team, all the team members to talk and solve problems together, right? And this is the key to work together. Okay. Let's make this meeting makes sure everyone knows what they're doing and help the team to work together better. Okay. So this keeps everyone on track, keeps everyone accountable for their work. Okay. So let's take the best for each meeting, Danny.
Yeah, and I wanted to add that I read somewhere also that there are just 3 types of meetings.
Oh, do we lose him?
We did. Yeah, you're frozen, Danny.
Technical issues.
I was like, really, just 3 types? And I read through. Can you still hear me?
Oh, Danny, we lost
We
you
do.
seconds.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm back, I think. Let me turn my video off. Right. Yeah, so practically 3 types of meetings, which is one where a decision is to be taken, like decision-based meetings. Then there's informative, where people just, it's one to a many. Your staff meetings, for example, just explaining to everyone what's happening. And then the third one is, oh shit, forgot. Brainstorming sessions where you're trying to progress a topic. It's not decision taking, but it's pulling in different perspectives to try to progress on a difficulty or a problem. So those are the 3 types, and I've been trying to find more types. I can't. So to back to your point, Alan, yes, stand up should be trying to brainstorm and progress how today's plan is going to achieve the goal, and not a informative session of, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, right? Let's have the best of those meetings, right? Let's make them worth it, okay? And we also have spring planning meetings, right? Where everyone try to be on the same page on what needs to be done, right? Um, and this helps the team make decisions together and plan their work together, right? And that's, for me, that's the key, to work together. And we all have been in sprint planning meetings where there's only one person talking, right? And I know you've been there as well, even though you're not, like, I cannot see your faces, but yeah, I'm pretty sure you've been in a sprint planning meeting where so only one person is talking. So let's participate, guys. Let's keep engagement. Let's let's invite our peers to collaborate during meetings, because the key here is to work together. Okay. Um, and all of the agile practices and all the Scrum events and everything that we implement in our daily basis work, where we collaborate with or other peers or stakeholders, are super important. Okay. And one of the last type of collaborative uh, or agile practice I would like to talk about is not an agile practice per se, but let's talk about pair programming, right? So pair programming is super useful, right? We all know someone who has struggled working with a piece of code for days, right? And having pair programming helps to bounce ideas, helps to create engagement between two persons, to know each other way better, encourages uh, the team to come up with uh, uh, creative ways to solve a problem together, right? So let's practice pair programming, okay, guys? And finally, let's talk about visualization techniques. So, and I've been talking about this for a while as well during the presentation, about using visual things um, uh, to help my message to be understood for everyone. Let's have it's the same as when you're in person and you bring a piece of paper and start drawing stuff, right? And almost everyone likes to do that, right? Or at least they start writing some words and ideas in a piece of paper to share your message. Let's do that, guys. Visual techniques like graphs, charts, um, drawings, etc., helps a lot to to your message to be understood. Okay. All right. So that's all about tools and techniques on my side. Danny, I don't know if you want to complement with something, or should we go to the next slide? Let's go to the next slide. Do we have Danny? If we have him, he's muted.
Yeah, I think you're muted, Danny.
Yeah, you're speaking mute.
Give me one sec.
Okay, sure. Okay.
I'm back, I think.
Yeah.
I was trying to write, but my cell phone is started to freeze. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
All right. Actually, I was putting there a web page called Liberating Structures. Super good. That one has a lot of different ways you can manage your meetings to make them more effective for brainstorming, for checking in, and many other things. So, yeah, bookmark it right now and take a look. They're very good. Okay, so enhancing days to days. I know we have very few minutes, so I'm going fast on this one. And it is, how can you communicate well if you're all day busy, meetings, work? So I'll go through a lot of very fast tips, and it is how to make your day effective so that you have time to communicate. And yeah, time management is critical. My tip is make your to-do list. With the to-do list, like have a clear goal. What do you want to do today? What are the two or three things that you want to achieve, and put them up front. Try to solve them, because that will actually make your day successful.
Yeah, we lost him again.
because if you finish those two, practically it's a successful day. And that just pushes this of psychological limit. Turn my video off. Am I back again? Yep. Nope. Maybe.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me, guys?
Back. Yeah, we can.
Okay. Nice. So practically it's make this to-do list, make sure which 2 or 3 things will make your day successful and address those. Obviously, for that list to be like more successful, you need to prioritize it. We normally recommend 2, which is what's urgent and what's important. If you have those 2 dimensions, super easy. Urgent is, I don't know, the boiler broke, for example, of my house. And if I don't do something out right now, my house will be flooded. That's urgent and important, right? Or maybe, hey, I need to go and pay my credit card. That's today because I'll be charged fees. So that's urgent. And then there's important things like, yeah, I need to do my master's degree. It takes a while. It is important. I prioritize. So always deal with this matrix. Sort your to-do list in priorities of important and urgent. And that will leave the non-urgent, non-important things to later. For example, watching TikToks. Those are not important and not urgent. It's super easy to order your day this way. Yeah, also set realistic deadlines, break tasks into smaller things. And this strange, but Agile and Scrum push a lot of these ideas, right? Break tasks into smaller tasks, focus on the one task at a time. Don't try to do many tasks at the same time. Use time blocking, make sure you have focus time so that you can switch back and forth between what you or solve something during that time, and this makes progress and gives you more time at the end of your day. Eliminate distractions, right? If you're in the focus zone, keep your phone, email shut down so that you can concentrate more. Delegate when possible, not just to humans, but also to machines. If you can see that you can automate something, that's delegating. And also delegate something. If you're not good at something, delegate it to someone you notice has strengths, and maybe he can delegate things to you, and then you both collaborate and progress faster. Also, regular reviews and adjust your plan. There's a important saying, it's planning is everything, a plan is useless. So it's just having a plan and not revisiting it, that's not good. It's revisiting the plan, what makes value, and making sure you're progressing. All right. And also, well, try to balance your time with stakeholders. Now you have time, and it's like, how can I use this time correctly with my stakeholders? Yeah, one of the good ones is set boundaries, right? Tell them when you're available, or set time. If there's something to discuss, let's put a meeting. These boundaries help a lot, so that you're not bombarded all the time by your manager or someone else is like poking you and keeping you from this focus zone. And that's establishing kind of agreements. So put those communication expectations, as Alan was saying, which channels you will be using, how often or how you will be communicating, or what delay there is when they're trying to look or write you an email, how much time you will be, it will take, normally takes you answering an email. Knowing those times is super good when working with stakeholders or people. Also negotiating deadlines. If someone is like, hey, Daniel, help me with this, it's like, nope, not this week. I can help you out. Like according to my priorities, it's something I can address next week. Does that work for you? Right. And this is super important. And that's one of the patterns that I'll be going to very fast, and it's learning how to say no. But before that, when things are difficult, seek support, reach out to colleagues, maybe a supervisor. They can give you tips. We are not all know-it-alls, so we need others' perspective and experience. So it is good sometimes, like, hey, I have very difficult communication with this person. Can you help me out? It's valid. And the regular reviews. Okay, and conflict resolution. I'll also go very fast. So listen carefully. When you notice that you are in a different position with the other person, you need to listen carefully. You're in a situation where practically you're in this negotiation where you need to be sensible and understand the other person's perspective and position. And my recommendation is sometimes people try to push for consensus, like everyone deciding on the same thing, and that's impossible most of the time. So I recommend alignment. Alignment is if you're disagreeing on how to address something, most probably you're not disagreeing on the why you're doing it. So always go to the why or the what before struggling on the how plane. And this alignment helps because maybe your difference is still pushing the same why, and then you can use the common phrase agree to disagree, or I like to say agree on alignment but disagree on the how. And this is there was a question in the chat. This is how you manage stakeholders more effectively, always making sure that there's alignment. If there's no alignment, this is something you need to escalate, because then there is no consensus on values, and values is something you want consensus, right? You want this alignment, and then the how and the what can be discussed, or eventually sometimes it's just saying, you know what, we don't agree, but we'll proceed this way, and we're still aligned, and that's the power of alignment. Also important is clear up confusion. Trying to go to alignment normally helps clearing out confusion. Find common ground. Make, like, if you agree on things, put them aside and continue on splitting the conversation. Again, smaller conversations on focus topics is better than a huge conversation that mixes up a lot of topics. Find common, come up with ideas together. So be open to hearing them out, trying to find that common ground. Think about, talk honestly and get help if needed. That's super important also. And the last part on my speech is, and then we can go for Q&A and the survey, is how to say no. This is something I personally had a lot of issues in the past, and it is how to say no, but in a professional way. And sometimes you just need to use it. So one of the first steps is actually use the word no in your sentence. That's super important. The no should be there. So here are some tips. It's like, don't beat around the bush or use vague phrases like maybe, I'm not sure, I'll think about it. This can just create confusion or false hope or make it harder for you to say no later. So just be direct, firm, but polite. For example, no, I can't work on that right now. This is explaining that this is not a good moment to tackle this. And you're saying no. And it's still polite. You can be even more polite when you explain why. So you could give a brief and honest reason for your refusal. This can help the other person understand your perspective and why you're taking this decision. For example, you can use the phrase, no, I can't take on this right now as it doesn't align with our goal, values, or focus. So you see, having alignment helps because it's now easier to say no because you already talked that this is not aligned with what we're supposed to do. For example, when that boss is telling you, hey, I need this report, and that report has nothing to do with the main focus of everyone. So getting alignment and saying like, yeah, you see, this is not aligned to the value that everyone's looking for. It's not a good time. Offer an alternative. This is also super helpful. Could you suggest another way to help or solve the problem? This can show that you can you care and want to help, be helpful, even if you can't do what they ask. For example, no, I can't take on this request right now, but I can add it to my to-do list and I'll reserve next time, right? Sometime next week. Does that work for you, right? But you gave the no, so there's no, you're not opening up or saying maybe. It's like saying, no, I cannot address this right now. And at the end is be respectful and grateful. So acknowledge the other person's request and thank them for their interest or trust in you. This can help maintain a positive relationship and avoid hurting their feelings. For example, no, I can't take on this request right now, but I appreciate the suggestion. That appraisal and that, hey, I noticed you, thanks for the effort. That's also a way of putting that politeness into your no. So yeah, use these simple strategies. I hope you wrote it down, we can send the meeting notes maybe at the end. But these are super helpful, and I personally have gained a lot by learning how to say no in a professional way.
Right. Okay, guys. So, oh my God, we are so on time. Okay, nice. Let's get up for some Q&A. Does someone has any additional question or comment or want to share something before we close this meeting? Luis says, bonus point on conflict resolution, don't take it personal. That's correct. Yes. Nice. Thank you, Luis. All right. Looks like this is gonna be all. So thank you very much, guys, for having us here in this Tech Talk, ITJ Tech Talk. This was super fun. We hope these tips are helpful for you. Use them in your daily basis and hope it helps to improve your communications with your stakeholders and with your peers and with everyone you work every day. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, guys. And Daniel, Alan, congratulations on a great talk. I, for once, learned a lot and find it really interesting. There was a lot of interesting links shared on the chat. Remember, all this information is going to be available for you guys on Me Coach. I'm going to stop the recording now.